What's up everyone and welcome to the club. In today's video we're going to be creating a sketch illustration of a giraffe. Welcome back everyone and thanks for joining me today. So for this lesson we'll need a sketch pad and a pencil. I'm going to begin today's lesson with this 0.7mm mechanical pencil with a 2B graphite stick. Now the first thing we want to do is define the basic shape of the head using simple shapes. Let's start by sketching a line coming down the center of our page. So we'll start at the very top. It's going to come down the center using these short lines. Now I'm going to define the base of the head with a square. So start in the center line. I'm going to stretch this out towards the right, to right about here. I'm going to come down the side with that same length line. And we'll come back in to create that square. Now I'm going to go up to the top left side of our square. We're going to angle the neck, coming all the way down and out towards the left. Now from this bottom point, I'm just going to step in so the head sits on top of the neck. We just want to make the neck wider as it comes down. So we're just going to change the angle slightly, coming down towards the bottom of our page. From the top right side of our square, we're going to angle this head, coming down and then out. To right about here. And across the bottom, we're going to draw a small circle. And the circle doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to get the right size and placement. Let's go back to the bottom left side of our square. We're going to angle the jaw, coming in towards the left side of that circle. Now I want to create a little bit of shape and geometry with the head. So we're going to go to the top left side of our square. We're going to angle this down and then in towards the side of our circle. Now you can see that we're starting to form the basic shape of the head. Let's add those horns across the top. From the top corner of our square, we're going to go straight up. Let's flatten this off with a straight line coming in. And it will come straight down. Now this is just the basic shape of the horns. We're going to start layering the detail on after. Now from the top corner of the square, we want to step down and layer in the ears. So we're going to start on the left side. Bend this up and out. Line this up all the way over on the right. So we're just going to lightly sketch a line going across, going up and then out. Now from the tip, bend this down and back in. It's almost like creating a leaf shape. Now I'm going to layer the left eye across this line. So right about here, I'm going to draw a circle going all the way around. Now we're going to take that, just line this up over on the right side of our square and do the same thing. We're going to extend this out past the side of this line, coming in. Now I'm going to go and just clean up our drawing by erasing some of these guidelines. Now that we've cleaned up our drawing, it's time to start adding some shape to these basic lines. So let's start with the horns. We'll start from the very top on the left. We want to bend the horn so it gets wider across the base. Just pull that in across the middle. And we're going to layer the right horn in behind. So starting from the top on the inside, bend this down, and just round out the bottom. Let's round out the top of the horn, so getting rid of that straight line. Now along the outside, we just want to give this a little bit more shape. Just bending this around and back in. I want to go in and start adding some detail around the eyes. So we're going to start with the eyelid, starting across the top, just bending this down and in, rounding out the bottom of the eye. So we're just pulling the eyelid in around the inside of that circle. Let's add a fold across the top, and just darkening up the top of the eyelid. Just adding some folds. Now inside the eye, I'm just going to add a small rectangle, just lightly sketching this in for a highlight. Just going to bulge the eye out. Just pushing this out. Now from the side of the head, I'm just going to work our way around the jaw. So just bending this around. Just want to round out the jaw, come in towards the bottom. Now along the bottom of the neck, I'm just going to add a few little folds going across. Let's go to the base of the ear. Add a few folds coming across from the horn. And just clipping off the base of the ear, coming down. Now I'm just going to work our way across the bottom, coming in towards the mouth. Now let's add some detail to the ear, starting across the top. Now you can see that we're just using the rough sketch as a guide. We'll add that fold inside the ear. just going to add some shape to the back of the neck. Now we're going to tuck the right eye in behind the head. So we're going to start at the very top, just underneath the horn. We just want to bulge this out, just following the curve of that circle around the outside. Bending that in. Let's add some lashes coming out. I'm just going to work our way across the bridge of the nose. I'm just going to blend into the mouth, coming down, rounding out the bottom. You can see a little bit of that chin, and just draw the edge of the mouth. Add a little fold along the side. Now along the front, we're going to add the nostrils. So right about here, let's start with the left side. Just going to roughly shade that in. And then on the right, this is going to tuck in towards the side of the head. Darken that up. I'm just going to add that little fold around the nose. And I'm going to go back and just erase the left side of that circle in behind the head. Just going to add some wrinkles across the top of the eye. Now this right ear is going to get tucked in behind the head, so we're just going to pull this in a little bit further. We'll add that fold. Just going to work our way across the front of the neck, coming down. Let's add a guideline for that mane, starting from the top, going in behind the ear. Now we're just adding that guideline just across the tip of the mane. Now inside, we're just going to add a little bit of texture with these short lines going across. Now we're going to do one final cleanup before we add in some more detail and shading. Now I'm going to switch to a thicker pencil and start adding some contrast and detail. So we're going to start with the eye. Now this is a 0.9mm pencil. So I want to start across the edge of the eyelid. I'm just going to darken up the lashes, just pulling this up and out. Let's work our way around the perimeter of the eye. So I'm going to add a little bit of darkness on the bottom, just shading that in. And then from the eye, we're just going to work our way around, just adding some folds and wrinkles. Now we're going to darken up the top of the eye going around that rectangle, and we just want to fade that down towards the bottom to create a bit of a glare. Just a little bit of reflection across the bottom, and go back and just darken that up slightly, and then go back and just adjust the tones. Now from here, I like to work my way out. So I'm going to start back at the jaw, just adding those wrinkles going around the eye. And I find that working from one center point going out makes it a little bit easier to get the right proportions. inside the ear, we're just going to add a little bit of fur. So we're going to start on the top. Just going to brush the fur coming in. So we just want to soften this edge. And we're just going to darken up the back side. I'm just going to feather the top of the horn, a little bit of fur texture. Now I switch to the side edge of my 2mm pencil and start adding some various tones. Now I want to darken up the tips of these horns. I'm just going to work with the flow of the fur. So just going to pull this down. So going darker along the top and then just blending that down. We just want to feather this out across the bottom. Let's add a medium shade to the inside of the left ear. And we'll be positioning the light from the top of a character going across, so the shadows will sit along the bottom edge. So now this ear is going to cast a shadow coming down, just alongside the jaw. I'm just going to darken up the base of the neck and just fade that up. So this area is going to sit in the shadow. And we just want to gradually fade that up towards around the center of the neck. We use these shadows to add a little bit more shape and form inside. So adding a couple folds. And then we're just going to feather out that mane, going a little bit darker across the base and just working our way across. Now we're going to go back up to the top of the neck. We're just going to outline those spots. Just tracing out these shapes going down the neck. And then inside, which is lightly shaded in that tone, so it's a little bit darker than the rest of the body. Now I'm going to go in and start layering on some more detail. So I'm going to start with the mane, just adding some more texture along the inside, and just brushing this out. I'm just going to go in and start adding some fur texture along the inside, starting with the horn. Now we don't need to place this everywhere. We're just going to fade this in and just smooth this out. I'm just going to pull a few hairs coming out from the chin. Now you can continue to add as much detail as you like, but I'll wrap up this drawing by cleaning up my shadows and adding a little bit more detail, and always be sure to sign out artwork, and that's pretty much it. There's a sketch illustration of a giraffe, and I can see that by starting out with the basic shapes first, before we get into the details, you'll get much better results. I encourage you to keep practicing this method. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one.